Welcome to our program. I'm Lana Kay, and today we have an exciting topic, Honor Flight Tri-State. Today you'll learn everything you ever wanted to know about this great organization. With us, we have Honor Flight Ambassador, bus leader, and also a veteran himself. Let's welcome Kim Brockhoff to the program. Welcome, Kim. It's so
Thanks,
glad.
Lana. I'm very glad to be here. It's always good to spread the word of Honor Flight as much as we can.
And that's what we're going to do today, Kim. First of all, Kim, before we get into our Honor Flight, I want to know about you, when you served, and then how you became affiliated with this great organization.
I'm a Vietnam-era veteran. I served from 1970 to 1974 in the Navy. After Navy, I came out and went to work and ran a normal life, I guess I should say. As far as getting active in Honor Flight, I was lucky enough to take my stepfather, along with my stepbrother. We took our stepfather back about 10 years ago. And I think, as with all the Honor Flight ambassadors, you do it one time, you kind of get hooked.
Is that right?
And that's what happened. I mean, I got hooked. I thought it was a great thing, and I've been working with them ever since.
I see. So how long would that be, Kim, around?
I've been working about 10 years with them now.
Wow, that's
yeah,
a
I think it was about
long time.
2010 when we took my stepdad.
Long time. So now tell us who thought of how to put this great organization together? Whose brainchild was this? This is wonderful.
It's a gentleman named Earl Moores, worked at the VA up in Springfield, Ohio, and he was a dental technician. And the World War II Memorial didn't open until 2004. And when it opened and he read about it, he had patients up there that he realized, World War II guys, that wouldn't be able to get there on their own means for whatever reason, health, money, whatever. So
Sure.
He was a private pilot, and he went to Wright Pat Flying Club with this idea and talked to some of his buddies there, and that's how it all got off. They ended up the very first flight. They took 6 planes. It took 12 veterans, and those guys did it all on their own dime. And then after that, the word of mouth kind of drove him crazy up there, and it all blossomed from there. And about the same time, another guy had down in North Carolina had heard about what he did and decided he would try to do it on a larger basis, on a commercial basis, and did a flight and took several the same year. And then a couple years later, the two of them got together and formed Honor Flight as we know it today.
So that was Morris? Earl Morris?
Earl Moores in Springfield, Ohio, and a gentleman named Jeff Miller down in northern Kentucky.
So these two, when they came together, this formed Honor Flight.
Honor Flight as we know it today, and now we have 131 hubs in 45 states.
That's just what I was going to ask you, how many hubs? Wow. So when we say Honor Flight Tri-State, that's just us. This is nationwide.
Yes.
What they're doing nationwide, what we're doing here, for all of you that know what we're doing here in Cincinnati, leaving CBG.
That is correct.
That is really something that it took on. But honestly, Kim, it's one of the greatest, as I read about this, and really it's one of the greatest organizations probably ever created, one of the best anyway. So now let's talk about the schedule. Tell us what happens, Kim, we get, first of all, I guess we have to sign up.
Yes, there's numerous ways they can sign up. You can go on our website at honorflighttristate.org, and both Guardian and veteran applications are on there.
Okay.
Print them out. You can do it electronically online, or you can print them out, mail them in.
Okay.
And that's the start. I mean, the rules we have right now are just 65 and older and wore the uniform.
I gotcha.
Because we've had to move beyond the World War II guys since there's so few of them left.
Yes,
as much as we hate to say that. And then they go for there. They get put on the schedule by age. We still do it by age.
By age. Okay, well, that's important.
Very important. And so, you know, we can still have a World War II guy that, you know, decided he wanted to go and can go, and he'll go immediately, obviously, because of his age.
I understand. Yes, because we know we're losing them way too fast. So now, we've signed up, and now we got to be at the airport, and then what's going to happen?
Their day starts at 6 a.m. at the airport. They have to be there at 6 a.m. And we do a small ceremony in the morning. And some of them meet their guardians then at the airport because
Now, one guardian per veteran, or how many guardians handle?
the very vast majority of the time is one guardian per one veteran. Every once in a while, if we have, a couple of veterans that are in really good shape, then we'll have one guardian for a couple vets. But right now we do one-on-one.
Okay.
Which also helps to defer the cost because the veterans go free, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that. Veterans go free.
Veterans go free. That is great. Okay, now we're getting to their memorials. Got the guardian on board, the veterans on board. We're going to land. You land at 4 different airports from here, or one?
No, just one. We go into Reagan National.
Okay.
And from there, they go to their, we usually go to the Iwo Jima, the Marine Corps War Memorial first. Backing up a little, when these guys land in Washington at Reagan, there's a welcome there for them. The people in Washington
really
are great
support
too.
it.
Oh yeah, great big welcome there for them. And then we head to our buses. We have chartered tour buses that they go all day on. And they'll head off to their first memorial, and that starts a full day.
And then all 4 buses. How do you get through that traffic? How are you maneuvering that traffic in D.C.?
There's the good thing. We also we hire the Federal Park Police, and when you have the Federal Park Police, you stop for nothing. It's a great thing, and we've had, you can't believe how many guys we have that come back and say that was one of the biggest highlights of the day, is going through traffic, because they don't stop for anything.
Oh, no, and you stop for, D.C. is a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And if you didn't have that, I don't think you could make it in a day.
That's exactly correct, and that's why we do that. We have to, we stick to our itinerary fairly close. We have to, and with them leading the way, cars climb sidewalks to get out of the way. They get out of the way of these park police, trust me.
That is so good.
And we stop for no red lights, and it's great. It's great.
Now they're really big cheeses.
Exactly.
Not only they're going to see their memorials.
And of course, the windows of the buses are blacked out. So the locals in D.C., they know what's going on because there's been so many of them. Yeah. But the tourists are looking at the bus like, who the heck are these people? There must be some very
they are some very important people in those buses.
It's a great thing.
So we're at Hiroshima. Now where are we off to?
We leave Iwo Jima, and generally, now I'm giving you a general schedule. This changes once in a while due to weather and things like that. But generally, then we go to Arlington National and try to catch the noon changing of the guard ceremony at Arlington.
Wonderful.
Which is, a big deal for these guys.
Big deal.
Some of our flights, generally the last flights of the year, if we can get in on Arlington's schedule, we have some of our veterans actually present a wreath at Arlington at the changing of the guard.
How great.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Oh, yes.
It's a great thing. Then after we leave Arlington, we generally will go up to the Air Force Memorial. The newest memorial these guys see sits on the hill above the Pentagon and above Arlington. And it's great in any kind of nice weather because we eat up there. The guys can take their box lunch and go out and sit on granite walls up there. Just a perfect spot to eat lunch. It's beautiful.
That's lunch, good.
Yeah, that's lunch. And then we head out from lunch and we'll head down to Korea. And I take that back. I got that wrong. We'll head to the World War II.
Okay, going to World War II now.
We go to World War II now. We don't spend quite as long there as we used to because we have so few World War II guys left.
Sure.
But we'll spend time and we'll present a small wreath at the Wall of Stars there. And if we have World War II guys with us, they'll go down to the Wall of Stars and we do a little ceremony there. And then we leave there and we head to Korea. The last couple years, we've probably had more Korea guys than anybody else.
Okay.
And so we'll spend some time at Korea, and we present a wreath and do a small ceremony at Korea. And then from Korea, the guys can walk up to the Lincoln Memorial, or they can go all the way around to Vietnam.
Okay, so that's
it's all in the same stop. It's all in the same stop. We do about a 2-hour stop there, and they can walk around. Now, since we have so many Vietnam vets that are going with us, we also we do a small ceremony and a wreath over there at the Vietnam Wall. There's I and one of the other bus leaders will go over, and we have all the paperwork you need to do the rubbings on the wall, if you've ever seen the rubbings on the Vietnam Wall.
Yes.
And of course, generally there is a park person there that does that also. So for a lot of these Vietnam guys, that's a big
deal for them to bring it home.
You bet, and a big closure.
To their buddy, yes, a big closure. Wow,
Yeah,
well said.
Really neat.
Ken.
And from then we head back to the airport. Now what we do, we've cut our trips a little shorter. And so what we do is we eat at the gate. We go into the gate, and the airport lets us bring in a nice box meal, and so the guys will eat at the gate.
Okay.
Before we get on the plane to come home.
Waiting to come.
Yeah, and which is kind of neat. Lots of times, like I said, the people in Reagan, the honor flight people in Washington are great also. Sometimes they'll have a small band there, and they play music, and they'll grab some of them are dressed in period costumes, and they'll go grab some of our guys and get out there and dance with them. It's wonderful. It's great.
It is. That's
really
a great day, and I see how once you got involved, you're staying.
Oh, yeah.
You love it,
Yeah.
and it's so, I know it's one of the best things that's ever happened to you and the veterans, Yeah. And now you're in your retirement years, and it gives you such, everybody says, do you have purpose?
Yeah.
We need purpose. Well, you found yours, didn't you, Kim?
It's great.
Okay, so now, Kim, you were in the Navy, and as you probably know, they just located the USS Hornet.
I saw that.
Located, it was bombed in World War II. 140 men lost their lives, but many of them escaped. Maybe, I think there was over 2,000, at least 1,500. So I saw a veteran in his wheelchair, and as they went along the bottom with this camera, they found his gun.
Really?
And he was on World News. And I'll tell you, it just brought tears to your eyes to think 70-some years later, he said, that was my gun. And I stood to the right of it, and, there's where I had my equipment and all. So touching. So, Kim, I spoke with two veterans. One was Larry Kosciuszko. He was 7 years Navy veteran, the Vietnam era, your era, and also Jack Kaysen. You'll see some pictures of Jack later. He was a paratrooper in World War II, and both of them put honor flight right up there with important life events as marriage, children. I'm not kidding you, Kim. Honor flight, and they just said it was one of the most amazing experiences for them outside of their, of course, their marriage, and they had their children, and
things like that make me smile.
Things like that kind of bring tears to your eyes when they put it that high up, because, they just couldn't say enough. And both of them, Larry Kosciuszko has went on, and he fostered 20 children in like a 12-year period, through a 12-year period. He's done lots of community service. He was a pilot for Delta. And Jack, he was a postal worker and then worked at the racetrack, 2 jobs, and traveled the world with those 2 jobs. He always tells me, I worked 2 jobs for all that travel. And so they went on to lead exemplary lives. Many of our veterans have just done some fantastic things after the service.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the service instilled a lot of that good citizenship in them.
Well, it sure did for me. I tell anybody that. I went in as a 18-year-old who didn't know what I was going to do in life and came out quite the man. By the time I came out, the Navy had given me the ability to work on a $6 million aircraft and be one of the last guys on the flight deck to go thumbs up.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It was an amazing that your time in the military and after, and helping with all of this.
Yes.
As so
very much so.
Rewarding.
And you mentioned that these guys put that up on a quite high pedestal.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't imagine the amount of guys that we have that come back that say, this is the best day I've had in my life in the last 50 years.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We have a lot of that. And our director, Cheryl Popp, has co-written a couple books with Pete Brosnan, and the first book especially has a whole lot of quotes from the veterans, and so much of that. Best day of our lives. Yes,
She's
Cheryl
amazing.
is something.
I read about her on the website. So, Kim, I brought some pictures. Well, first of all, just a couple of other things. A lot of vets say, but I'm not a hero. Have you heard that? That's on the website? So I think they're all heroes. Listen, Kim, many lost their lives, many lost their limbs, many came back psychologically damaged, but everybody, whether it's a group effort. All of our military is a group effort. So not everyone is a hero, but they're all so important that they're all heroes. Without one, there can't be another.
Yeah, for sure. We all the ambassadors that we try to talk these guys into going in. So many guys try to turn you down by saying, well, I wasn't in combat, or I didn't go to Vietnam, or I wasn't here. But and I'm using an older statistic, but I know when I first started, they were saying that there was 15 guys to support one infantryman in World War II.
Right.
And so many of these guys, along with me, we had no choice per se where we went.
Right.
It's where they sent us. And so, we tell these guys, that's no reason to say no. You go. You wore the uniform. Go. Take your day.
Right.
You're a hero like everybody else.
Like everybody else, because you did your part. You were there.
Yes.
So, okay, Kim, let's look at some pictures. Viewers, I brought you some pictures. This, I mentioned Jack earlier. This is from his personal album. And then his son-in-law blew these up for us. And this, Kim, is Honor Flight getting ready to go. And this is the caption I love. It says, "We want you for one more mission."
Yeah, isn't that great?
That's a great caption.
That's a picture. This is when they're leaving in the morning, and the TSA Honor Guard at the airport, that's their honor guard for our little ceremony in the morning, and they go out to the gate so these guys can take pictures.
Isn't that great?
I throw that out there real quick. Our airport and our TSA are just great towards Honor Flight. You just can't imagine what they do for us. Our guys don't have to go through normal security. They just, they're screened ahead of time by TSA, and all they have to do is show up with their driver's license and show a driver's license. No metal detectors or anything, just march right on.
I love that, to help them, any way you can to save time and their energy.
CVG and TSA is great. Now that's after they're loaded on their plane and they're on their way out to the runway to take off. The airport fire department does a salute to them by bringing out 2 fire trucks and shooting the streams over the top of their aircraft.
A great picture early in the morning. It shows how it's still sort of dark out.
Right.
Kim, here we go. You mentioned Arlington.
Looks like he was one of the few that was there on a rainy day. I must say that we are so lucky that the vast majority of our days we have good weather days, but you can't fight Mother Nature.
You
so
cannot, but
once in a while we have a rainy day.
Like blankets over their legs. Here's veterans getting ready to take off, Kim. And they're ready to board.
Yes. Actually, that's when we were in D.C. That's on our way out of Reagan.
Oh, is there way back?
Yeah, that's our group picture as we get together in the airport now under the big flag, and that's where they have their group picture.
Isn't that what? Look how many are on board.
Back in the, just a few years back, we used to do this outside at the World War II Memorial, but since we don't have as many World War II guys now, we just do it inside the airport.
How many are on that flight?
This flight was probably 70 to 72.
Wow, that
veterans,
many.
Yes.
And it goes, do they leave, is it 4 times a year, Kim, that we have from here?
We had been doing 5 normally. Last year we had a corporate flight, our first corporate flight ever.
You talked about that.
And so we did 6 last year. Now this year we're going to 4 because we have to go to a larger airplane. American Airlines is switched up to a larger plane, so we're going to 4, but we will end up taking the same amount of veterans.
Same amount get to go. That's
so
great.
We'll have about 84, I think 85 on an airplane versus 70 this year.
Wonderful. Now here's Jack, and the man sitting by Jack. Jack's got the beard. The man sitting by Jack worked with him at the Latonia racetrack, and neither knew they would be on board, and then they found each other.
All together.
And it made a great day.
How nice is that?
Because they knew each other, so that was a great happening.
Right.
Now, Kim, I got to tell you, this Korean one kind of is so realistic, and Kim, talk to us about nighttime. This is the part of the Korean monument.
The Korean monument, there's 13 guys out there that represent all 4 services. There's actually a Coast Guard radio man, I think he is, Navy corpsman, a Marine, or two. I think there's 2 or 3 Marines, and then the rest are regular Army guys. But everybody says it is the most haunting figures of any memorial there. And I hear a lot of people, and I've also done it myself, but the nighttime tour of Washington, D.C., when you go here, there are no outside lights around this memorial, just very few small lights where you can walk on the sidewalk, but every face has a small spotlight that shines on his face at night, and it makes it so eerie.
It's so
it's
realistic.
wonderful.
And there are great pictures of this on the website where you can see their faces better. It is so realistic that it was really chilling. And of course, they're in rain gear, I think, aren't they?
Yes,
Kim?
and the
they're carrying their
greenery
gun.
around their feet is all supposed to be like a rice paddy.
I understood that.
Yes.
That took a lot of effort to make that so realistic. Now, Kim, I know you're going to know these girls.
These are some of our Welcome Home girls, and we also have some. This group here is ones from here in CVG.
Yes, they are.
In Cincinnati. But you'll see them when we get to D.C. There will be a lot of them there too that dress in period, and they're just a great group of gals.
Isn't that great?
The ones
and they
in
sit on their
DC.
laps, and they'll give
yeah.
them a kiss or whatever it takes, and that's just great. They're darling
Sometimes in
girls.
D.C. they'll have a small band there, and they'll play 40s music, and these girls will go out and grab some of our older guys and take them
they'll get
out
up and jitterbug dance.
Yep,
How
exactly.
great!
Great
now
group.
this is coming home to CVG, and this one sign here. I hope we can zoom in on this. It says. Now let's see, what does it say? It says, heroes don't wear capes and tights. They wear dog tags and combat boots. And I love that one.
Isn't that great?
But the turnout is just great. The people come, I guess they put it on Facebook. There's what it says, you know, heroes don't wear mask and tights.
Well, we pride ourselves in our Welcome Home. We have a great group that organizes it. One of the ladies that works with us puts out all kinds of emails
and lets people know.
And lets people know and invites everybody and civic organizations. And we'll have anywhere from 400 or 500 people. And the airport estimated one time a year ago that we had over 1,000 at our Welcome Home.
See, this is wonderful. And I want to tell you what both veterans, Larry and Jack, told me, that the children is what really touched them. Children ran up and they, you know, thanked them and hugged them and shook their hands. And so it gives me great hope, Kim, because some parents are really training little kids to know these are veterans, these are our guys, these are important men.
I agree completely. And you'll hear these guys that are talking about, you know, this is one of the best days in their lives. One of the neat things, too, is when they get to D.C., the tourist kids, parents will send their kids over to them and shake their hands and thank them for their service. So, you know, it's great to see that.
Kim, we're almost out of time, and anything you'd like to add before we go?
Not at all. I mean, we are always looking for veterans and guardians to sign up. We need both. Like I said before, we want to reiterate that the veterans are totally free, and the guardians pay for themselves. This year we had a price increase of all things, but we couldn't help that because of a fuel price increase and the airline price increase.
It is what
but
it
still, it's a great day. It's an honor to be a guardian, to take one of these guys to D.C. And so we're always looking for both to sign up and on our website at honorflighttristate.org. And
we'll put that information up at the end of the show.
That's great. That's
Kim,
great.
thank you so much for enlightening us today. I mean, you have been a real joy and just brought it all to life. So now we know what this is all about, don't we? In closing, to all of our veterans, you know, a heartfelt thank you for your years of service and sacrifice to keep this great country of ours safe, because without you, you know, it may not be that way, and we never want to take it for granted. So remember, you're the best of the best. And signing off, as I always say, be happy and keep smiling, and I'll see you soon.